Hi, I'm so excited to start a series of videos to go along with my new column at Healthing.ca. Healthing, if you don't know, is a new health platform published by the National Post and 140 of its affiliates across the country. And Healthing.ca has a great team. I'm really thrilled to work with Lisa, the executive producer. You can go and read her first post where she talks about how healthing and health to health is a verb. And I love that. I would have loved to have been in the room when that name was decided, because to me, what that says is when we are healthing, we are putting our own name at the top of our to-do list, which of course is one of my favorite mantras at Menopause Chicks. So I'm going to try to produce a video to go along with each of my weekly columns, and I'm a little behind, so I'm going to do some catch up today. If you go to my Instagram profile, there's a link in my profile that will take you directly to all of my posts so far. There's 4, and the first one was an interview with Diana, who's a reporter at Healthing, who was interviewing me as an introduction to this project. So I'm just going to share with you a couple of the questions that Diana and I chatted about in my first piece. And the first question was, what is the mission of Menopause Chicks? Love that question. The mission of Menopause Chicks is to empower women to navigate perimenopause and menopause with confidence and ease. And we do that by being uber committed to ensuring women have access to quality health, education, and information. That is the thing that drives everything that we do, because there is so much confusing and conflicting information. You cannot have a conversation about menopause with a search engine. It's impossible. So we are committed to quality information and education. We're also committed to helping women connect with health professionals, experienced health professionals who can support them on their journey. And we connect women to each other through our private online community, which, by the way, just turned its odometer to 20,000 members yesterday. So we're really excited about that. It brings the Menopause Chicks audience up over 100,000 that we're reaching through email and all of our social channels. So thank you for that. Thank you for following along. And thanks, Diana, for asking me that question. I love talking about our mission. And her next question was, what's the difference between perimenopause and menopause? So I will try to do this very quickly, but it's a great question. The term perimenopause was only coined in 1996, so relatively new, and it helps to explain why marketers, media, and even medical professionals interchange menopause when they mean perimenopause, or sometimes we say menopause but we don't actually mean it, or sometimes we won't say menopause when it's actually perimenopause because we don't understand the difference. So I do love talking about definitions. Menopause is technically one day. It's the 12-month anniversary of your final period. It's one day on the calendar of your reproductive lifespan. Every day after menopause is technically post-menopause, although many people will interchange those two terms, myself included. If you think about, you reach menopause or you want to navigate perimenopause, you're not just talking about one day, but you're actually talking about the one day and the rest of your life. And the term perimenopause is a phase of life leading up to menopause. So it's about preparing. If you think about the word prepare with peri, even though peri means around, preparing a woman's body for menopause. It is different for everyone. It's a phase of life that includes hormone fluctuations. It can last 5 to 15 years. That doesn't mean suffering for 5 to 15 years. It just means that that's the phase of life where hormones are fluctuating Maybe you might not be ovulating regularly. Things are changing. It's different from when you are in your 20s or early 30s. The average age of menopause in North America is 51.2. So if perimenopause can last 5 to 15 years, then it can start as early as mid 30s, mid to late 30s. Most women, will ask, how do I know? Well, there is no way of knowing if you're in perimenopause or not, other than your age. Your age really dictates that. If you're 45, you're most likely in perimenopause, and you're most likely going to reach menopause around the average age of 51. But of course, everyone is different. So that's the difference between perimenopause and menopause. And Diana also asked, tell me about the moment when you decided to start Menopause Chicks. So I have a long story. I'm going to give you a really condensed version of the story. The moment that I decided to start Menopause Chicks was in my doctor's office. I had just felt really disappointed by the lack of conversation that my doctor and I had when I showed up in her office. And I actually told myself that day, oh my goodness, for a moment, I told myself, I just need to suck it up. That I'd probably, not been managing my stress very well, and I need to figure it out on my own. And then before I left her office, I thought, you know what? I can't be the only woman in the world that's experiencing anxiety and depression for the first time in her life, whose life is being disrupted by sleep deprivation and brain fog. That was the big, big one. It's like I was not performing at the level that I knew I was once capable of. And it was concerning for me, especially because, not to mention, I had 2 young kids and a business to run, but I had my aging mother living with us for about 6 months at the time, and she was showing signs of dementia, and I was showing signs of brain fog. So I was actually quite afraid of what was happening to me. Anyway, the moment when I realized I can't be the only one did set me out on a quest. And that was really the birth of Menopause Chicks. I realized by talking to other women, by going online, that there really was no quality online resource where women could go and have their experiences validated, and where they could connect with the truth. Quality health information, as I mentioned, that we're driven by in our mission. So that's how Menopause Chicks started. It started as a blog 7 years ago. About 3.5 years ago, I launched a private online community on Facebook, and the rest, as they say, is history. We're just on a mission to empower as many women as possible to navigate perimenopause and menopause with confidence and ease. Okay, so, and then Diana also asked me how I grew Menopause Chicks to over 20,000 members. Well, it's happened organically. I think the first 8,000 members came in the first 3 years. I've never advertised it. I always relied on other members and word of mouth, and really supply and demand of what I could manage in terms of responding to questions. And then I think the last 8,000 members came in the last 3 months, because we really, kind of, hit some momentum. It's striking a chord with women that they enjoy having access to our social learning units. They enjoy having access to health professionals and being able to watch videos or read articles from health professionals. So there are a lot of health communities out there, but there aren't a lot that are tackling this important, very complex subject. So we're proud and honored to be able to do this work. What are some of the stereotypes and myths around women and menopause? Great question, Diana. So glad that you included this in your article. That's kind of what I do all day, every day, is try to demystify these myths. And Gloria Steinem actually has a great quote and says that in order for us to learn, the first thing we must do is unlearn. And I love that quote because the first thing that a woman needs to do in terms of learning about her perimenopause or menopause journey is she has to unlearn perhaps the stereotypes or what she's already thinking about. Um, it might mean unlearning that menopause means hot, old, tired, bitchy, and fat, because it doesn't. Yes, there can be some uncomfortable experiences as our hormones fluctuate, and those are not symptoms of perimenopause or menopause. Those are most often symptoms of hormone imbalance or something else like thyroid imbalance or iron deficiency or another health condition. The perimenopause and menopause are life phases. They're not ailments or diseases. So that's a big myth that we need to um, debunk for people. And what else? I mean, it's disheartening for me to think that women have inherited this generational myth that we are meant to suffer, that pain is part of the process. It's not. We are not meant to have period pain. We are not meant to have PMS. And we're certainly not meant to suffer through the perimenopause to menopause transition. So, what's really important after we debunk the myths is to convince women that she deserves quality of life. She deserves to have her health put at the top of the to-do list. And she deserves to work with a health team who can investigate for the root cause if, in fact, there are things happening that are disrupting her quality of life. So don't suck it up and don't suffer in silence, but reach out to an online community like ours, reach out to your health team, go to the library, download a book, do whatever it is that's going to help you, focus on how you eat, move, sleep, and manage stress, as well as get informed about the role that your hormones have in your body and in your life. And so that, we're the first generation to turn 50 and have 50 more years to plan for. So let's get on with living the second half of our life. So I do love that question about myths and stereotypes, and I will be talking more about unpacking some of those myths and turning them around into truths about perimenopause and menopause in some upcoming columns. So in the meantime, please go to Healthing.ca, do a search for Shirley Weir or menopause, and thank you for reading my work.